Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? It's Cruz for the so today. Kind of showing my face, but that's okay because I'm gonna be showing you guys this bad boy, and it's my first kind of big mock. And I've been working on this bad boy for a while. I actually also finished it kind of a long time ago, and I actually even recorded a video of me going through it and everything, and then I decided to just remake it because I didn't think it was good enough. So this is my second try trying to record this video. I just didn't like how the first video turned out. I edited all of it and everything. It just wasn't as good as I wanted it. So the reason I'm going kind of talking more face to face instead of just straightly starting into the view is because I kind of want to explain how I got to why I decided to make this my first big building, you know, the size, what I was looking for, what I think of the overall end product, and then I'll kind of show you guys it's the thing itself and kind of my process. So I am currently working on a modular building or half a modular building. I'm basically almost done with that one. I'm basically just waiting for parts. I'm also building a modern house and started building my clone barracks. Those are my three big kind of mocks that I'm kind of working on. This is my first big one. I have worked on some smaller mocks. I've shown one of the modern single family homes here on the channel, which I am actually proud of. And then one day I just worked on some cowboy stuff and I threw in some stuff and I made a video about it. But this was my first big project. If you guys know me, I have a ton of Lego and I've always wanted a Lego city, and I have been trying to do that for the last couple of years for stuff. And I kind of started with actually making the buildings, and I wanted to start making some mock buildings and stuff, right? And I decided that I wanted a certain amount of buildings in my Lego city, right? Every city kind of has to have certain buildings that are kind of like guaranteed to be in there, right? It's like if you play City Skylines, you have to have a police station, you have to have a firefighters, you have to have a hospital or a clinic, and so on, right? And one of the buildings that I wanted to start with was a police station or a hospital or something of that sort. And I do plan on making those buildings eventually, but this is just the first building that I started with. And I wanted certain things I wanted to push myself in a certain direction, and let's just go with I did. This, if I am not a complete idiot and break the entire thing apart, this is a Lego prison. It is massive. It is big. It's not actually that tall, which is surprising. Sorry about that, guys. I'm kind of just... There you go. This thing is massive. It's not that tall. It's only 2 stories tall. Plus the roof access, but it is large. It's a big build. And I'll tell you guys kind of how I came up to this size and kind of the overall look of the building and what I wanted to get out of it. Number one, why did I decide to do as my first big mock in my Lego city? Heck, even my second mock in the entire Lego city, the first one was just a single house. Why would I decide to do a prison? You know, why not a police station at least, or a hospital, or a school, or a bank, or anything else other than the prison? I thought it was kind of necessary. So in my Lego city, even when I was younger, I had the idea, because when I was younger, I actually had the space to put an entire Lego city up. It was actually pretty large, I'd have to say. It was pretty interesting, and I just now no longer have the space for it. But when I do in the future have my own place, I do intend to make my Lego city, and I want to prepare for that, I guess. And you know, I wanted to start building and designing my buildings. And one of the first things I quickly wanted to do in my Lego city was have difference in, I guess, income, just like in the real world, right? So you want to have huge, you know, creator buildings, which are the modular buildings, which are extremely detailed and nice, and more simpler buildings. And then I almost wanted to build something like the projects or the ghetto, or and the barrios and Latin culture. Since I'm Salvadorian and I was actually born and areas like that. So I wanted to kind of incorporate that into my city, and because of that, you tend to have a lot of petty crime, and I want that to be kind of realistic-y in my Lego city. It's one of the reasons why I care about, and I want to eventually add alleys, and I wanted certain areas of my city to be very cramped. And because of that, I wanted to have a prison. And the only reason I decided to do a prison is because I had a ton of doors. That's it. That's the entire reason I went with a prison, is because I had enough doors that I thought I could complete it without needing more. Yeah, didn't happen. I had to make 2 separate Bricklink orders probably over $200 in total. I think the total of the 2 Bricklink orders were $300. So most of this was already pieces I had, and I think I did get a lot of pieces also from a purchase I ended up making from someone on Facebook Market, and it was a ton of just like pieces and stuff, and I did use a lot of it here as well. It is complete. The only thing I would change is there is a helicopter pad, so a helicopter build would be up there, as well as the guards for the actual, the actual prison. I don't actually have. I have a warden. I have the inmates. I just don't have the guards. And we'll kind of talk about that later. So this is the overall build, right? And I took inspiration from a couple of things, but I mostly just kind of started. That's usually how I like to start. I first just like to kind of figure out the sizing of what I want and kind of what I wanted to do first, right? So I first started, as I think any person would, with a 32 by 32 base plate. I don't think I have any like right next to me. No, I don't. They're over there somewhere. I do not feel like turning the camera because you guys will be disappointed how messy that is. I am planning to also do a tour on kind of how my Lego stuff is laid out, but I'll need help to actually record that. But yeah, it started by a 32 by 32 base plate, right? Which is about from here to about here. And as you guys can see, this is actually 2 32 by 32 base plates. There's 32, 32, and another 32. So it's 2 base plates, and they're kind of in a weird direction, right? Because usually take module buildings, for example. Module buildings are only ever 32 deep. And if they are bigger than 32, take the assembly square. They've added in this direction, not the other way. Never in length, always in width. But we'll talk about that in a second. So I knew I wanted to start with 32 base plate. I knew I wanted to be a prison, and I had a lot of pieces to where I thought mostly, if not all of it, I could do in a couple of days, couple of weeks, maybe a month, if that. This took months. I'd say almost a year, because a lot of times it was breaks in between school and working a lot, and I didn't have money to even order parts, or I just didn't have the time to even think about it. I've had it done for a couple months now. I think at least 3 to 4 months I've had it done. So I am really proud of it, and I haven't touched it. I actually just keep it sealed in a little thing. So like that's a thing. I don't think this is, I mean, I guess this side doesn't really matter, but sure. All right, so now I knew I wanted to do a prison, and then I wanted to push myself in one specific thing: the size. I've never done a size or mock anywhere near this size, or large or complex. And I wasn't trying to make a modular building. I wasn't ready to add all these super small details on the exterior or anything like that. Maybe take things out of its regular shape, like a lot of buildings try to do, right? They try to get away from the blockiness. I wanted to push myself in the interior and the sizing of the actual project. And I did do that. So I get away with it being boxy because it's a prison. Prisons don't look nice. They're supposed to look ugly. They're gray, they're bland. I think I did accomplish that pretty much. And the one thing that I wanted to make sure is I had everything that a prison, in my opinion, should have. So I made a list. What should a prison have? Number one, I wanted a warden's office. I wanted a mess hall, a place for the inmates to eat. I wanted at least one bathroom, right? I wanted a courtyard. I wanted some type of tower or bunker in the front. And I decided to go with this bunker, and I'll explain that and not why I didn't go with a sniper tower or something. And lastly, I wanted the cells for the inmates. Anything else that I added or took away from or decided not to add was because of the sizing of the build. And because of those restrictions that I had myself is the reason why I decided to make this build the orientation that it is. I quickly started with figuring out how tall I wanted it to be. I know I wanted it to be at least 2 stories because in 1 story, there is no way I would have been able to done basically anything. So I quickly realized it was going to be at least 2 floors. I didn't want it to be over 3 floors, but I was okay with the fact that it could be 3 floors. Again, I decided not to, and I'll explain why. So I quickly came to the realization that the biggest issue was going to be the courtyard. The courtyard, I wanted to have kind of a space where they could be outside. And that became my biggest issue. And it's the reason I decided to go with this specific shape. It's simple. I wanted to be big enough where you could have a couple of minifigures out there without it looking completely ridiculous, but not making it so big that it takes up so much footprint. And even of this size, which I think is way too small, it takes up so much space because you can't really build on top of it. So it has to go all the way through, right? So that already made me think about, man, if I take this section just right here, the building is gonna be tiny. I can't fit as much stuff as I want, or I'll make the inside super cramped. And then the one thing that really threw me over was this. I wanted a tiny bit of green space because there's different types of prisons, right? There's prisons that are extremely far away from everything, and then there's smaller prisons that are kind of closer to a lot of things. They don't have as much as protection. In my country, for example, the hard prisons are far away from things. Prisons that hold more petty crimes stuff tend to be prisons that are almost built inside of the city itself, which I kind of was going for. I didn't want this to be super far away, which is why I didn't care for a big fence around it or sniper towers. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for a smaller prison that I could add to my city. So I wanted it to not look completely ugly, and I decided to go with this type of structure, kind of like a bunker. This is actually an inspiration of mine from real life. So I decided to go with a little bit of greenery. And that just made me decide that I was gonna have to add more base plate, more footprint area. And I did. I started with a 16 by 32. I thought maybe I can add it in this direction. I quickly came to realize that it might mean more green space, or maybe it doesn't. I tried working with it, but it didn't kind of look right to me. Then I thought it's just not big enough. So why not do another 32 by 32 base plate? And again, I decided to put a 32 by 32 base plate here. Jesus. And it just, once again, it did not look right. It looked like the prison was just at a weird look. So I just went with this. It's just really long. It works. It is a little weird sizing, but it works. It still fits in the 32 by 32 base plate type of look. But it is slightly weird. But it works. And I think I'm overall happy with the size. And yeah, so that's kind of why I decided to come up with this overall like design and look for it. And then I kind of just started building a footprint, and that's usually how I start. I kind of start laying out where I think walls will go, and I started separating the inside and where each room was supposed to go. And I just started building. I didn't look up anything. I didn't plan anything too much. I kind of just started. I remember the first day I worked on it for over 8 hours just sitting and planning and looking for parts. And it went like that for about 2 weeks. I remember the first 2 weeks I worked on this thing nonstop. I would take the entire thing apart and re-put it together. And I finally got to the point that I was actually about halfway done through the first floor. I was like, this doesn't look right. Let me restart. And I kind of went going at it until I kind of got to this point. I took breaks. Sometimes I would not build for a couple of days because I got busy, and then I would go back to it. Sometimes I would run out of pieces and I would start sorting my stuff. And I would find some pieces. It got to the point that I knew I didn't have enough pieces, so I just started ordering pieces that I knew I needed. And again, those orders were over $300. I don't think all the stuff was for here. I would have to say this build probably cost me $100. I did order a lot of stuff that was like I'm gonna definitely need in the future, like door frames and stuff like that. But I did make 2 separate big orders for this build. And I am overall really happy for it. So yeah, that's kind of how I started, kind of how my entire process went. And now to the actual build. All right, so finally, let's look at it. So I'm like slightly off. So the build itself. Yeah, so I wanted to have just a small little walkway, I guess, from the road or whatever to the actual front door. I decided to go with kind of the police colors, which are this kind of bluish color with white. So the front is kind of like that white color. You have some extremely simple plants, like literally like 2-piece plants. I wasn't trying to make it look extremely pretty or anything. It's a prison, all right? So, but I think it does what it's meant to do, which is kind of look a little bit more presentable. No windows up here, but there's a tiny bit of windows. We'll talk about this in a second. If you move to the side here, you're going to once again see that the build is extremely plain. There isn't much windows. I don't know if that's accurate to prison or not. I just did not care for adding windows. It's a prison, it is what it is. There is this section, which is the warden's office. You can actually see the warden back there in the nice tiny bit of shaping. Again, I wanted to stay away from everything being completely boxy, so I decided to give him a little bit of light. So that's kind of nice, but again, once again, just a extremely plain thing. And if you guys do see, these are all real Lego, but they're different ages. Some of these are new, some of these are super old. Like I'm talking about like before I was even born, and I'm 20. So there is some decoloration, and I actually don't mind that whatsoever. I just threw whatever bricks I had at it and got some stuff. The back here is one of the areas that I actually like the most is this section right here. Looks really good. And this is the little patio area, the little courtyard. And we'll talk about that in a second. Kind of just looking at the walls, kind of, And then we have this section right here, which is just the back of the prison. And we'll talk about why this area has windows. And over here, once again, no windows except these 2. And this is where the visitor's office actually is. So, yeah. So, what is this? This is, I guess, a tower, a kind of like a little prison tower I had. It's kind of this is actually one of the things I was inspired by. When I went to El Salvador, one of the most recent times, we drove by one of the high security prisons in the country. One of the higher ones. It's kind of in the middle of the nowhere. We were just kind of passing through, and we just kind of saw it. And in front of them were these big cement kind of like bunkers that you only really saw a little slit right there, kind of right next to the building on both sides. I decided to just go with one. And I kind of took inspiration from that, so I decided I wanted to use these pieces. So again, I decided to go with these pieces, and I made kind of a bunkery look. I know I wanted to have a little bit of overhang. I decided to go with this blue once again. Just the blue kind of fits in with the whole police thing. And I thought it would look better than just having just more bricks here and then like something there. So I wanted to use that piece as well, and I kind of just went with it. It's a pretty simple build. There is a glass door there. Again, it's for a guard, and a guard does fit there. This thing doesn't like to open up very nicely because it's not really meant for that. Sorry about that. And inside, you literally just have a spot there for a figure. And there is actually a nice little, I guess, ladder there. So that's kind of what I want. So this is kind of what he's supposed to look like. Again, it kind of looks good. He's mostly covered and his head's just kind of there with his gun out. But they are sitting. They are just sitting. They can't actually stand. There's not enough space. But again, I got that design from my own personal experience of just, what it was. And I decided to make something similar. So that's why I decided to go with that design. All right, so I took the first floor off. And as you guys can kind of see, this is entirely, actually built. And it kind of interesting. I really like how it looks from the top. You guys can kind of see all the walls and everything, and there are figures in here, again, just missing the guards. I just haven't purchased them yet. I kind of want them to be, I know what torso and legs I want. I just need to order the hats and the faces because I want them to look different. I don't want them all to have the same face. But yeah, this is kind of what I went with. We'll start here with the first floor. I decided to make the entire floor just white because it kind of lit up the overall building. So we start here with the first glass door. We move on to kind of like a airlock, right? I thought an airlock was pretty cool, but that airlock can actually look. You guys can kind of see. Are able to see all the way through into the mess hall, which I thought was a nice little neat thing. You move to the left here, and once again you get another glass door, and that is for the warden's office. And this bad boy is the warden himself. Simple looking guy. He's the warden himself, and he's a super nice warden. So he gets kind of a swivel chair. He doesn't actually swivel all the way, but you get the point. He's got like a weird looking little thing there. He's got a nice little table that's not supposed to entirely come out, with a nice little brick lamp and a super cool gold dagger. Now, no worry, no inmates are allowed in here, so they're not actually allowed to go in and stab him. And there is just a little suggestion of a chair for the person. Most likely a guard or somebody who's visiting might come see him. And again, he does get some nice sunlight from his part. You move on to the right, and you finally start getting into an actual metal door. So I had a bunch of these, which is the reason why I thought I had enough, but I didn't. And we move into this area, and I decided to kind of make this spot look a little bit better. Sorry, I'm trying to get the light in here the best I can. It's a little hard because lights create shadows. So I decided to use with these Nougat brick pieces, modified brick pieces, and I thought they looked pretty solid. I wanted it not to look as ugly as any other part because civilians were still going to see this section. And they're separated. So they're not in the same room. They're kind of like the ones that you see sometimes in movies or in real life, that a glass separates them. And this is the glass that separates them. These are going to be the visitors, and this is the actual inmates. So they just kind of have a seat, and that they're separate rooms, and that's basically it. They do actually also get a nice little window, which does actually pop out really easily, which I think it's almost like a play feature. I really do like that. And maybe you could use that as a little play feature. I know a lot of the Lego City stuff, you like hook it onto a car and they break apart. I think that'd be kind of cool, a cool little scene that you could have, which is nice. You move in, this is just that section. You have this, which is kind of like another airlock because civilians are not allowed past this point, which is cool. So a nice little airlock there, which is nice. Move on to kind of another like airlock or hallway type of thing, and you move into the mess hall. The mess hall was something a little hard. I wanted it to be nice and big, to have a lot of different characters and stuff inside. And yeah, that's a pizza piece that I actually didn't even put that there. While I was designing this, I actually had some family members over, I guess, and some of them were younger kids, and they saw it. And I think I had built this around halfway through, and they knew that this was a cafe or whatever, and they went through my stuff and put a pizza piece there, and I've kept it there because I thought it was funny, even though they probably won't be having pizza. And then just had super simple, just kind of tables and places for them to eat. And this is kind of the cafeteria area. You can actually lift this section right here where the guards will have through. I'll probably have a guard or two there. This is supposed to represent a drink. This is just a really weird piece. So I guess like a lettuce or something. They get to eat some lettuce. There's a piece of milk. Not a piece of milk, but a carton of milk there. They want some milk. There's a cookie and a piece of pie. And then there's also a trash can there. So yeah, again, nothing super detailed or anything, but I think it looks pretty solid. And then you actually have the door towards the outside. So this section I struggled with to actually make. I didn't know exactly how I kind of wanted it to look because I was thinking, you know what, maybe we should add like some grass area. Maybe I shouldn't. I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to add grass area or not. Jesus. So I decided not to add. Sorry about that, guys. So I decided not to add any. So I didn't know this was kind of hard to figure out. I didn't know if I wanted to really. Sorry if there's like dust and stuff inside of there. I didn't know exactly if what I wanted to do with this area. I decided it was too small to add grass, so I just kind of tiled the entire thing up. I left some places where the minifigures can't actually stand, and I kind of went with a simple design, kind of prison-y like. I think it looks pretty solid. Technically, a figure can go through these, but I think it looks pretty good with the overall look. And yeah, and you can actually take these off pretty easily. You can even take off this entire wall really easily, which I think is almost similar to a play feature that LEGO would also do. So, and I also decided to make this little basketball hoop. I actually had it in my collection. I thought it would be perfect to actually add. And a nice little thing about it is I added some lore to my LEGO City, and that is there's actually going to be gangs. So there's going to be the Beanie Gang, which are going to be, you can clearly see as criminals who have beanies, and the color beanie that they have is based on the rank that they are. So blue, this is the top leader of the Beanie Gang. He's a blue color, signifies that he is literally the leader. This maroon color is second in command. If you don't have a beanie, you're part of the non-Beanie Gang, and you do not like the Beanie Gang. I thought it was hilarious to call them the non-Beanie Gang. So they're the non-Beanie Gang. All right. So, and these are just some other figures that I just kind of came up with. They have slightly different clothing, but it kind of all works out. And we move on to this section here, which I think is pretty interesting. Now, I might get some flack for this one, and I get it. I get it. It's an electric chair. So I was always fascinated by the electric chair as a child. I am somebody who finds I'm not towards it. I'm not somebody who believes in capital punishment entirely. I'm not somebody who is also against it. I come from a country that capital punishment was banned from, but also from an extremely violent country. And here in the United States, capital punishment is a thing. And I've technically, when I was really young and I had my old LEGO City, I did have it. This is the exact design that I had it from. So I thought I had this space and I was trying to figure out what to add it. Maybe extend this, maybe make this a shower or something else. And I decided to keep it. I thought this would be a somewhat gruesome reality of a LEGO City. I'm adding a prison. I'm adding more ghetto-y type of stuff. Like the projects or something, or bad places in Detroit. So I decided to add capital punishment. This does not mean I'm in support or even against it. I I think it's a lot more complicated and it's either good or bad. I think it has to do with a lot of different things. It's an super iffy topic. It's extremely controversial, and this is not trying to make a political statement, right? So, yeah. And the electric chair is just the one that I knew as a kid. I know technically that's not been allowed for a very long time. Now they use lethal injection, and I've heard all the arguments for it, like the fact that it can go wrong, and a whole lot of other things. But yeah. Not to worry, this is fake Lego plastic. No one's gonna get hurt, and this is not a political statement. This is just a fake Lego city. So I have this doctor guy here, and he kind of looks evil. Oh shit, does he have the same face as this guy? Oh my god, they're like twins. Jesus Christ, they're like actually twins. I just noticed that actually. They're the same face. So his backstory, I wanted to have a backstory towards him, is that he's actually a scientist who's actually really evil. And he actually likes murdering people. And that's why he has this job. So yeah, that's like his job. He kills inmates if he needs to. I just decided to add some tiny little bit of detail, a nice little barrier, and that's the red button that does it. All right, enough about that. Let's not get too carried away. This section just holds a staircase that goes up to the upstairs. All right, well, so this is the second floor, and I do want to show you guys that the entire second floor is just one big sturdy piece. So yeah, it's how I made it. I wanted for it to just be, one big level, and yeah, so we'll kind of take a look in here. We'll actually start from this right here, and this is the actual area that you come up the stairs. It doesn't, well, I guess this thing's not actually, there you go. It doesn't line up perfectly, but you get the gist. That's just the hatch, and it's also like a little room there, so that's pretty interesting. You get out over here, and you're gonna go into the bathroom. This is a pretty funny little thing I made. There's some, again, the toilet right there, and they don't even get a sink. I don't know. And there's some toilet paper on the ground. I think you can actually take a pretty solid view there, kind of what the toilet looks like. I didn't really try, but I think it gets the job done. Here on this side, you have the actual rooms, and looking from the top, it's two actual beds. They're really simple. They're actually from basically the Minecraft type of bed look, and I just kind of recreated a version of them there. And this is what the actual rooms look like. So you can actually look inside of the actual, I guess, the rooms. And it's just how I decided you can probably put at least 2 minifigures in each room. This room is exactly the same. It's an actual copy. If you actually pull this up, you will see that, which is a little area that I guess the prisoner is carving behind his bed there. So I guess he's trying to get to the other cell. The other cell here is actually a tiny bit smaller. It's a little bit smaller than the other 2 rooms, but you still fit 2 figures. And I actually even have a small little, I guess, scene going on. This is a woman who is a non-Beanie Gang member, trying to head to her cell, which is this one, and she is being followed by a Beanie Gang member, which is the lowest tier, gray, and a second lowest tier black Beanie Gang member is waiting for her. He wasn't supposed to be here, and they're gonna try to beat her up. And yeah, boys or girls or women and men both are in the prison. There's no separation or anything like that. Move over here. This is the actual, I guess, the solitary, or I guess like I guess the worst prisoner will be in here. They actually get a guard will always be sitting there, and then they just get a single bed there, and that's kind of what it looks like. It's like double walled, I guess, extra security. And lastly but not least is the actual access to the roof. There is this little room with a ladder to get to the roof. Is very similar to the actual, I guess, floor. Is that it's actually a big piece. So this is actually just one big piece right here. And this section right here is a second piece that, again, you snap on just like you would, modular buildings or whatever. So that's pretty cool. And there's some decoloration because again, these are plates from different years, and a lot of them are used and are from like 1990 something, or maybe even before that. So they're pretty old. And I wanted to keep the roof somewhat simple, but also have a tiny bit of detail. So this is the actual roof axis. If you open this door, it just goes straight down to the ladder. I decided to go with a black glass door, which I think looked pretty good, probably like a bulletproof glass or something. And I decided to go with this type of look. And this is a panel piece that you kind of make it look like a window. Pretty well-known technique. And I wanted it to look very like heavy, very, I guess, strong, as an entrance or an exit, I guess. And I made it kind of look very bunkery. And I think I accomplished that pretty well. And I didn't want to make it too square. So I decided to add a tiny bit of shaping. Over here is just, I guess, a generator of some type. Again, I wanted to keep the overall build pretty simple. And that's just how I decided to kind of make a generator. Again, I wasn't going for anything too spectacular. And then these are the, I guess, comms or I guess like a big speaker. I can't remember what the word is called for them to say stuff to the inmates down there. There is a helipad. I actually spent a lot of time on this helipad trying to make it look good, and this is just what I went with. I guess like a red and blue coloring, and the big H there for, you know, they're always on there for some reason. There is a little fence thing that I decided to use with these pieces. I thought that I wanted some type of rails or something, and I kind of filled in the other spots with those. I think there is one over here as well. So I filled those with that, and it's so that minifigures don't look super awkward, because, you know, there's a helicopter pad here. If there's someone going to be working on stuff, and then there is even this little area that you can have a figure here kind of look like from the front. And I have some, I guess, AC units or something, and then a valve of some type. I don't know what that would do, and an antenna piece. So that's what the roof looks like. But that's the build. That's my mock. So I hope you guys like it. Let me know what you guys think. What I could have improved on. What you guys actually really like about it. Again, I was trying to push myself in certain things and wasn't truly caring about other things. Again, I tried to make this as cheap as possible. It probably costed me somewhere from $50 to $100. Probably less than, I say around $50, and probably because I have such a big collection. And I'm probably not gonna touch this thing for a while. I've actually just kept it stored away in a big container, so it doesn't get dust or anything on it. And I like the little story that it kind of gave behind it. I'll probably do need to add the guards, and I'll probably eventually make the helicopter and probably do a video on that. And the guards, I'll probably do the guard video when I show you guys a lot of my minifigures, and I'll kind of show you guys some stuff, because I have some big plans to show you guys what my collection really is. I am kind of trying to get that sorted out. I will do a video where I kind of show you guys my actual collection, how big it is, sometime in the future. And I'll show you guys the figures, and hopefully by then I'll have the guards. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What things I could have improved on. What other things you thought were, you know, maybe not the greatest. Again, I think I'm done for now. I might revisit this later. But for now, I'm working on other projects. Like I said, I have recently started working on my barracks for clones. It is big, like probably twice the size of this thing in footprint, or at least almost twice the size in footprint alone. And I've just basically come up with the, I guess, the blueprint of it. I am almost done with the exterior of a modular building. I literally just need to order the bricks, and then I'll probably start working on the interior, and that should be a video that will be going out. I have been working on a lot of sets that I've already built, and I just need a review. This video is gonna kind of take a long time to actually edit and put all together, render, and actually upload. So let me know what you guys think. What other maybe mocks you guys want me to try at least. I am very new to the whole mock part. Again, I've never experienced to have anywhere near this amount of Lego, and this pushed me in certain directions, and a lot of the builds I'm working on right now are definitely pushing me in a completely different direction. But I hope to get better with stuff. I hope to improve with a lot of stuff, and yeah. I guess you guys can follow me along with the journey. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys.